Today we're going to be looking into spells, and I gotta say there is a lot of combination of spells. They're not as simple as you think. If you've ever watched my previous Borderlands content, you know that I talk about match and grip and the right prefix bonus and all that good stuff a lot. Well, in this game, spells are very similar, and you need to know what to look for on a spell, and also how to identify all the parts on it. The reason why I bring it up is because in this game, you can look at the damage on a spell and then buy it and then find out it's not what you expect. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and show you how spells work. In Wonderlands, there's 4 different manufacturers that make spells, and depending on the manufacturer, that's going to determine the delivery, like how you deliver the spell. So right here we have Arcan, we have Miraculum, we have Conjurer, and the 4th manufacturer is Wordweaver, but I haven't been able to find one yet, so I'm assuming they drop later on or, at a higher level. Like I said, manufacturer determines the delivery, so at the bottom there you can see channel cast, hold, and release on cast. That is going to be tied to the Arcan spells. So with this spell, if I just press the button, it's not going to cast. You see that? You got to charge it up. Once it's full, then release it. That is Arcan. The next one's Miraculum, and Miraculum is going to be one that you cast around your character. It's a self-cast spell. So if you pick this up and cast it, you can see we have a Cryodome around our character. So anything inside this besides the player is going to take extra damage. Then we have Conjurer, and that's going to be your simple cast, fire, and forget. So if we pick this up and cast it, you just click the button and you cast a spell. Keep in mind this is only for the delivery of the spell, clicking a button to cast it or charging it and releasing it. Not what the spell does. And for the 4th manufacturer, Wordweaver, you can just hold down the spell button and cast it over and over. It's called repeating cast. Alright, I'm going to put an image on the screen, and depending on how the spellbook looks and the icon on the front cover, that will determine what the spell does. At the top, you have the 4 manufacturers, which you can determine by looking at the borders of the book. Ignore the base book on the left side. So if you get a spell drop on the ground, you can know what manufacturer it is before even looking at the card. Just identify the border. Right below are the 10 different spells you can get in the game. And don't worry, it seems like a small number, but there's a lot of combinations that can happen on a spell. So these 10 can do many different things. Now, why bother memorizing what the front cover picture of a spell is to know what the spell does? Well, sometimes the title will not actually tell you what the spell is, or, like below, it won't say it's a magic missile, for example. So if you can identify these icons, you will know what you're getting before you spend a lot of money on a spell. Alright, let's show off the 10 basic spells. So yeah, the first one's going to be the magic missile. You can identify it by this icon on the front. And this is going to be a 4 missile cast spell, you can see here. Next up, we have the circle of protection, so you're going to see a circle on the front cover. And that's going to be your spells that cast a giant dome. Then we have the bolt spell, and the bolt spell only seems to come in shock element. A lot of spells can come in like many different elements. For example, like this sigil, or the circle of protection, that could be like, a shock spear, for example. It doesn't have to be only cryo. But the bolt one only comes in shock, it seems. So we'll cast that real fast. Oh, it's a charge. And yeah, you can see we get multiple charges, and we can cast a shock beam. This one is going to be the hawk spell, and you can identify it by the hawk on the front. And it is an Arcan, so we do have to charge the bird up. And release it. And there you go, you send out a homing bird and it will hit the enemy. Now, if this hawk spell would have rolled as a conjurer, we could just click the button and release it and not have to charge it. Keep in mind that some spells can roll in different manufacturers, so the delivery could be different. Again, I want to mention it, these kind of spells do come in different elements, so you could have like we have here, shock bird, or it could be something like fire or even dark magic. Fireball, that's this one right here, and you're going to see a flame on the front. And this one's going to be just casting a fireball. This one might be my least favorite because it does require precise aiming and the blast radius is pretty small. But that will change depending on if you get better modifiers, which we will get to in a second. Next up, we have Fissure. You're going to see a diamond with some cracks around it. And for this type of spell, you're going to just like send a fissure down the ground. I kind of showed it bad there, but it would like send a trail of breaking ground towards your enemy. Let me cast it one more time. Alright, here we go. Much better example. This is going to be your ice spike spell. You can see a giant ice shard on the front. And for this one, you just send out an ice shard similar to the fireball, but instead it will be ice. Now, this is a blue rarity version, so you can see it's doing a lot more than a simple fireball. But if this was a basic ice spike, it would send out one little shard. Up next, we have Eruption, and this is going to make your character explode. Don't worry, it won't do damage to your character. But you will do that element around your character in a giant area of effect. So get close to your enemies and cast away. For spell number 9, we have Meteor, and you're going to see this giant meteor icon on the front cover. And here's an example, like you don't see anything related to meteor on the card. Sometimes at the bottom it can say it's a meteor spell, but yeah, you gotta identify what kind of spell you're buying before you want to buy it. Anyways, this will be just as it sounds. You will summon a giant meteor and it will come down and hit the floor. Last but not least, we have the Hydra spell. One of my personal favorites. This one's going to summon a Hydra. And the cool thing about this is it has a little secret effect. It will spit out ammo occasionally, so hopefully we get that. Yep, there we go. Thank you. And it will like spit fire at the enemy depending on what element you get. So you could get like a shock one that will do shock attacks. Alright, those are your 10 spells, and moving on here, we're going to talk about the modifiers. So on a white rarity spell, you're not going to get any modifiers, which normally appear down here. Let's go up and see if we can find one. Nope. Nope. Here we go. Status damage. With it being a green rarity, it can roll a bonus modifier, and those modifiers will give you a small bonus on your spell, such as, you know, you can see here, status damage, or maybe crit damage, splash radius, and many, many more. Now, I don't have a full list of every single modifier in the game, but do note that there is a lot of them. Once you get up to the blue rarity, you're going to have 2 modifiers, sometimes 1, and you can see here we got status chance and crit chance. And then your purples and legendaries, I don't have an example here, but you can roll 3 modifiers. And these modifiers will really boost up your overall damage and performance of the spells. I did kind of skip over it, but let's go over the basics of a spell here. So every spell is going to have damage, crit chance, cooldown. Obviously, if you get a better spell, these could be higher damage or less cooldown, or if it's like a really, really strong spell, it might have a long cooldown. But for some of the weaker spells, they have a short cooldown so you can cast them over and over. The final modifier you can roll on spells will be at the bottom here, and these roll on your blue, purple, and legendary spells. These are going to be the things that change up your spells the most. You remember earlier I casted out that ice spike that shot out many, many shards? That is due to the bottom modifier. This one is a magic missile, which you can tell by the front. I can't actually buy it, it's a little bit expensive, but it shoots out 7, you get additional projectiles. Normally with a crappy, green one here, you only get 4. So these modifiers are going to be something you want to look out for if you're trying to go for some of the best spells. Alright, I just got this one. It's a Hydra spell, you can tell by the front. We got 3 modifiers with it being purple. And at the bottom, we get additional heads on our Hydra. So before I showed you that basic Hydra that had 1 head and, shot at the enemy, this one is triple that and will do obviously better damage overall. Here's another example. We have the Hawk spell, and instead of summoning 1 bird, this one can summon 2. We got the bonus modifier at the bottom there. So we'll charge it up, release it, and there's 2. Now, I have been able to find one that summons 3 birds, but I wasn't recording, so I didn't get it on camera. But do note that you can get one. Let me see if I can get one more spell with a good modifier. Alright, I was able to find one more, and this one is going to be the Hawk spell again, but instead of getting multiple birds, this one's going to summon smaller birds as it travels. So we'll cast it real fast, see what it does. Oop, gotta charge it. It was a little bit hard to see, but it was summoning more birds as it travels. Anyways, I think that's going to be everything you need to know about spells in this game. It's going to be really hard to roll the perfect spell. I mean, you got to get the right, spell type, so that's Bolt, for example. The right, passives on it. You got to get the right bottom piece for the bonus effect. You got to get the right element and the right manufacturer for casting the spell the way you like it. So there is going to be a lot of variation. Some people might like that, some people might not. Personally, I don't mind as long as, there's no overpowered, specific combination spell. For example, in BL3, you had to get that, cloning maddening tracker, and nobody liked farming that. Hopefully it isn't the same in this game, but from what I've seen, all the spells do feel pretty good. Anyways, let me know below in the comments what you guys think about all the spells. My personal favorite definitely has to be the Meteor spell. The one we showed earlier was just a basic Meteor spell, but you can get ones that summon, many, many meteors, and also ones that summon gigantic meteors. They hit pretty hard, but they do have a long cooldown. Anyways, I'm rambling on, so if you guys did enjoy the video, then please be sure to leave a like, because that'd be awesome. And if you guys really enjoyed it, be sure to sub. You guys have a great day, and I will see you all later. Peace out.